Right now, the walls inside your home are telling a story you were never meant to read. That slow, creeping yellow stain spreading across your once bright white walls is not age. It is not inevitable. And it is most certainly not something that requires a professional painter charging you $800 to $1,500 to fix. There's a solution sitting on the shelves of hardware stores right now, priced at under $2, that will pull a decade of yellowing out of your walls in a single afternoon. The painting industry has spent years making sure you never find out about it. The residential painting industry in the United States and the United Kingdom generates over $60 billion every single year. A significant portion of that revenue comes not from new builds or genuine renovations, but from homeowners who believe, because they were deliberately led to believe, that yellowed, discolored walls cannot be restored. They can only be repainted. Painters will walk into your home, run a finger across your yellowed wall, shake their head, and hand you a quote. $800 for a single room, $1,200 if there are high ceilings. Some charge far more. And the homeowner, standing there feeling quietly embarrassed about the state of their own walls, signs the estimate without question. What they never tell you is that the yellow you are looking at is almost always a surface-level oxidation process, a chemical reaction sitting no more than a fraction of a millimeter deep into your paint surface. It is not structural damage. It is not paint failure. It is chemistry. And chemistry, unlike a painter's labor bill, can be reversed. You have been robbed, not violently, not dramatically, but quietly, consistently, and profitably. That changes today. By the time this is over, you will know exactly what oxygen bleach is, why it works on yellowed walls at a chemical level, how to mix it, how to apply it, and what results you can realistically expect, including on walls that have been yellowing for a decade or longer. You will know where to buy it, what to avoid, and how to do this in a single afternoon without hiring anyone. And stay with me, because there's one critical mistake that almost everyone makes with this method that completely destroys the result. Most people never figure out what went wrong. You will. What almost nobody knows is that the compound at the center of this solution was not invented for walls. It was not invented for homes at all. The chemistry behind oxygen bleach, formerly known as sodium percarbonate, was first developed and documented in industrial textile processing facilities in Central Europe in the early 20th century. Fabric mills were dealing with a problem that would sound immediately familiar to any homeowner. Natural fibers, exposed to air, heat, and organic compounds, were yellowing at a rate that made their products unsellable. The industry needed a compound that could reverse oxidative discoloration without destroying the underlying material. By the 1940s, sodium percarbonate was being used in large-scale linen and cotton processing across Germany and Czechoslovakia. It worked by releasing active oxygen directly into the material, not by bleaching through aggressive chlorine chemistry, but by essentially feeding oxygen into the discolored molecules and breaking their chromophore bonds, which are the specific molecular structures responsible for producing color and discoloration. The yellow vanished, the fabric was undamaged, and here is what they didn't want you to realize. The same chemistry works on latex and acrylic paint surfaces in exactly the same way. The discoloration bonding to your wall responds to active oxygen identically to how discolored cotton responds in a textile mill. This knowledge existed, it was documented, it was used industrially, but it never made it to the homeowner because the homeowner paying for a repaint every 5 years was far more valuable than the homeowner who knew about a $2 powder on the hardware store shelf. And this is where it gets interesting, because the suppression of this information was not accidental. In the 1970s and 1980s, as sodium percarbonate began appearing in household cleaning products in North America and the UK, several studies were quietly commissioned by industry-adjacent research bodies, examining its effect on painted surfaces. The results, which circulated internally but never reached consumer publications, confirmed what the textile industry had known for decades. That diluted sodium percarbonate solution applied to standard latex and acrylic interior paints could reduce visible yellowing by between 60 and 90% in a single application. Those findings were never published in any consumer-facing format. The painting industry had no incentive to distribute them. Hardware stores stocked the product for laundry and deck cleaning. Nobody connected it to walls. Nobody was supposed to. Stay with me, because the next part changes everything. What I am about to show you is the specific detail the industry spent decades making sure would never reach a homeowner. The exact reason why this compound works on your walls at a level that no standard cleaning product, no magic eraser, no vinegar solution, and no sugar soap ever will. This is the part that took researchers decades to figure out, and it is the foundation of everything that follows. The solution is sodium percarbonate. You will find it sold under brand names like OxyClean, OxyAction, and various store-brand oxygen bleach powders. But what you're looking for on the ingredient list is sodium percarbonate as the primary active compound. When you dissolve sodium percarbonate in warm water, it breaks down into two substances, sodium carbonate, which is a mild alkaline cleaner, and hydrogen peroxide, which releases active oxygen. It is that active oxygen that does the work. Here is what nobody else will tell you. The yellowing on your white walls is almost universally caused by one of three things. Either it is nicotine and tar residue from smoking, oxidizing into the paint surface, or it is natural off-gassing from cooking oils, cleaning sprays, and household chemicals bonding to the wall over time. Or it is the paint's own binder, typically the alkyd or latex resin, undergoing a slow oxidative degradation process triggered by UV light and heat. In every single one of these cases, the discoloration is caused by oxidized organic molecules sitting on or very slightly within the paint surface. And active oxygen, released by sodium percarbonate in solution, attacks those molecules directly. It breaks the chemical bonds that create the yellow color. It does not strip the paint. It does not bleach the underlying pigment. It targets the discoloration specifically because the discoloration is chemically distinct from the paint itself. Think of it like this. The yellow is a layer of tarnish over silver. You are not polishing away the silver, you are dissolving the tarnish, and the silver underneath is untouched. If what you are watching right now is changing the way you think about home maintenance, and it should be, then you are already ahead of the vast majority of homeowners who will spend thousands this year on problems that cost dollars to solve. There is a community of people who know this. You are now one of them. Here is exactly how you do it. Step 1. Go to any hardware store, home improvement store, or large supermarket and purchase oxygen bleach powder. The brand does not matter as long as sodium percarbonate is listed as the primary active ingredient. Avoid products that list sodium hypochlorite, that is chlorine bleach, and it will damage your paint. You are looking specifically for the oxygen-based version. A standard 1-pound container will cost you between $1.50 and $3 and will treat multiple rooms. Step 2. Mix 1 tablespoon of the oxygen bleach powder into 1 quart of warm water. Not hot, not cold, warm. Hot water accelerates the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide before it can do its work on the wall. Cold water prevents the sodium percarbonate from fully dissolving. Warm water, around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius, is the precise range where the compound activates correctly and remains active long enough to penetrate the surface. Step 3. Before applying anything to your wall, test a small, inconspicuous area. Apply the solution with a soft sponge and wait 5 minutes. In nearly all cases with standard latex or acrylic interior paints, there will be no adverse reaction. But if you have unusual or specialty wall finishes, the test patch protects you. Step 4. Apply the solution to the yellowed wall using a soft, non-abrasive sponge in gentle circular motions. Do not scrub. Scrubbing does nothing useful and risks surface abrasion. The chemistry does the work, not the pressure. Work in sections of roughly 3 square feet at a time. Step 5. Allow the solution to sit on the surface for between 3 and 5 minutes. You will often see a visible change beginning within the first 2 minutes, as the active oxygen begins breaking down the discoloration. This is the warning you must hear. Do not leave the solution on longer than 8 minutes in a single application. Prolonged exposure can begin to affect the paint binder itself in older paint surfaces. Set a timer. Stay disciplined. Step 6. Wipe the wall clean with a separate damp cloth using plain water, then allow it to dry completely. In most cases, 1 application is sufficient. For heavy yellowing from years of smoking residue, a second application after the wall has fully dried will take the result even further. Before wrapping up, there's one more thing about this solution that almost nobody talks about, and it is the detail that will make you think about this compound completely differently. Sodium percarbonate does not just remove yellowing from walls. Because it breaks down into water and oxygen with no toxic residue, it is one of the only cleaning compounds safe to use in homes with documented chemical sensitivities. Unlike chlorine bleach, which leaves behind chloramine gas and chemical residue that persists in indoor air for hours, the sodium percarbonate solution you apply to your wall is completely inert within minutes of application. The active oxygen does its work and then simply ceases to exist as a chemical agent. And what remains on your wall after treatment is water and a trace of sodium carbonate, effectively baking soda's close relative. That means this method is not just cheaper than repainting. It is safer to breathe, safer for households with children and pets, and safer for the paint surface itself than virtually every commercially marketed wall cleaning product that charges 10 to 20 times as much for chemically inferior results. Now consider what you are being charged to avoid knowing this. A professional painter repainting a single room will charge between $800 and $1,500 in most American cities. In London and the southeast of England, those figures are typically higher. The average homeowner repaints interior rooms every 5 to 7 years, largely because of yellowing discoloration that makes the walls look tired and stained. Over the lifespan of ownership in a 3-bedroom home, that is potentially $6,000 to $10,000 or pounds spent on a problem that costs $2.40 to fix. The before and after here is not subtle. Walls that looked permanently aged, dingy, and smoke-stained emerge from this process, looking as close to their original bright white as the underlying paint formulation allows. Homeowners who have used this method on rooms with 15 to 20 years of accumulated discoloration have reported results they described as indistinguishable from a fresh coat of paint. Not because the paint is new, but because the discoloration obscuring it is gone. The paint was always fine. The yellow was never the wall. It was chemistry sitting on top of the wall, and now you know how to remove it. Here's what matters most. You now have a method that costs under $2, requires no professional, no specialist equipment, and no more than an afternoon. And it works. It works on nicotine staining. It works on cooking residue yellowing. It works on the slow oxidative decay that affects virtually every white painted interior surface over time. But this is only the beginning of what the home maintenance industry has kept from you, and the yellowing on your walls is actually the least expensive symptom of a deeper problem that most homeowners discover far too late. Because what drives accelerated wall yellowing, particularly in kitchens, bathrooms, and rooms with poor ventilation, is often connected to something happening inside your walls that no cleaning solution, however effective, can address from the outside. Something that, left unexamined, makes the yellowing return within months rather than years. The question you should be asking yourself right now is not just why your walls yellowed. It is why they yellowed where they did, and whether the pattern on your walls is trying to tell you something far more expensive than a $2 fix.